This is Sue Greenwald with Awakened Stories here today with Deanna Carr with the Mystical Moonlight. Hey, Deanna, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. We're going to be talking today about the Wright brothers. I've always wondered about this, and I got kind of the hit to talk about it, so yay. All right.
Mhm.
So I have been to Kitty Hawk, okay, North Carolina, the dunes off the ocean, multiple times. I've walked up them, super cool. They have hang gliders there, and it's just fun, okay? But I've always wondered, how the heck could you get a airplane up to the top of that and make the airplane fly? There's no way.
You
No
can't. You
way.
can't.
No way. So we
Now
already
they
know
they
that
say
there's,
that they say the dunes were bigger back then. So they show you all these geographic things that make
yeah,
it so it's huge. But still, if you've walked up the sands,
yeah,
it is really challenging.
yeah,
And I can't imagine pushing a plane up that because like
yeah,
even just walking is hard.
yeah. And supposedly the plane was like 600 pounds. No way.
Mhm.
All right. So they're dunes. So they're really big and they're fun to run up. They have the hang gliders, blah, 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 blah. There's no way. So let's
Yeah.
go point by point, okay? All right. Wright brothers are born in Dayton, Ohio in the 1870s-ish. And the two brothers are really highly interested in mechanics. And they were given supposedly a toy helicopter powered by rubber bands, which they played with, which stimulated their intense, uh, you know, um, wanting to work with, airplanes. Does that even
Mhm.
sound feasible?
They, I think that they had this dream
Yeah.
to want to have an airplane and be able to
Uh-huh.
travel and kind of escape their reality.
Okay.
But they didn't actually have the understanding to create a plane itself.
Okay. All right. So they obviously were, we'll call it out in the
Mhm.
boonies at that point, and
Yeah.
they were probably self-taught. They didn't have any formal engineering education. So what we're told is that they developed the airplanes by, experimentation, crashing, trying again, et cetera, et cetera. All right.
Mhm.
So we'll go forward. And so the Wright brothers heard of another glider experiment. So that was in the 1890s. And then they began studying flight in earnest. Okay. So
Yeah.
they read every scientific paper on, flight and all of that they could find. And here's something I thought was interesting. They wrote the Smithsonian for additional information. Ah, that seems like a red flag to me. What do you think?
Yeah. No, it's
So
definitely a red flag. Like,
go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
So the Smithsonian is an awesome place in Washington that likes to suppress information. They've got all sorts of stuff buried in their archives. So what did they give the Wright brothers?
Well, it doesn't make sense because if you ask for information from the Smithsonian, you're not going to get anything.
Yeah, yeah,
Like you're not, they're just go even for that time frame, like they have everything under lock and key and they're not going to let anybody
yeah,
in, right? They
yeah.
have so much stuff. I mean, you don't even know about the stuff that's in their basement, right? So they have all this information. Now, how did they get the information? Is a great question because they got it from somebody high up. And the reason being was they ended up sharing part of the profits.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
hmm Well, what if you know that there's a way for somebody to actually succeed in something,
Mhm.
but you know that you're the only key to it and you have unlimited access and you could easily make a lot of money?
Yeah.
Most people would probably take that offer.
So do they write contracts? Like, is there any proof, like written tr paper trails or anything like that?
It would have to be a contract that was individualized
Yeah,
because the Smithsonian doesn't just give stuff out.
right.
They don't, even if you are a high up person, they're not just going to give you the information.
Of course.
Um, So for them, it was an individualized contract, and it was between them and one other person. So it was not a public contract. It was not between them and the Smithsonian. It was actually considered stolen information.
Oh, okay. So they write for information on basically how to develop a
Mhm.
plane or some technology or what. Now, were the planes already developed prior to them inventing the plane?
Parts of it were. There was another inventor that started making the plane,
Yeah.
but they did not have enough, like, hours. They did not have enough money to complete it. So it
Ah,
was started by somebody else.
okay. Okay. So they basically completed someone else's work and took the credit for it.
Yes.
Common theme of what we've been talking about lately. Okay.
Most of the stuff that has been invented has been stolen by somebody.
Okay.
And I mean, you can say that about inventions in general because they talk about how inventions are made. They say the wheel wasn't made over and over. You take something and you make it better, right?
Right.
So
Right.
technically, you're taking somebody else's work when you're inventing something. Like that's literally what they tell you about inventions. So, yeah, it was somebody else's work they ended up completing. And when they tested it, they were not going up the dunes. They used that as a cover story because it was easy to understand. It was easy to understand, and it's an easy way to just kind of BS something.
Yep. Yep.
And who's going to be there to prove it? Like, it's if you're there, usually there's, I mean, nowadays there's people there, but
Yeah.
usually it's pretty bare.
They made it into a park there, but it's very interesting because later on, I'm going to say that they had a bunch of guys witness their flight. And of course, that's the second red flag. Like, oh, a handful of men that probably got paid witness your flight? I doubt it. Pretty sure
Hmm.
never happened. Okay, so
Yeah.
fast forward. They started doing glider experiments at Kitty Hawk. And again, this is in North Carolina along the beach. There's these giant dunes. So we're going to assume that that's where they were. And they chose that place for their steady winds and soft sand. So they
Hmm.
tried a glider that had a wingspan of 17 feet on Kill Devil Hills, and it didn't really work. All right, so then they go back to Dayton and they build a wind tunnel and test all these shapes and designs. Any of that
Yeah.
true?
No. The killed out they had something there. Was it a plane? No. Was it a glider? I don't even know if you can say that. It was like a little mock up.
Okay,
Like
okay,
it was like you could hold it in your hands, like
okay.
small.
All right. All right, so the story goes that, they didn't have success. They got moderate lift from this glider. It crashed a bunch of times. People thought flight was impossible, so they were skeptical and they were negative and blah, blah, blah. And those poor Wright brothers had physical exhaustion, probably from
Hmm.
dragging the glider up the dune so many times. Ha ha, right?
Probably. Yeah.
Okay, fast forward 1903, they design a 12 horsepower engine with the propellers, and on 1903, December 17th, they piloted the first controlled sustained flight, 120 feet in 12 seconds. Do you believe that?
No.
Okay, so they didn't do that at the dunes, period, because that would be
They
crazy.
didn't do anything at the dunes.
Okay, all right. Look,
The dunes were not a sustainable spot, like even for testing flights.
okay.
Like they're just talking about gliding. They would have done a mock-up glide there.
Mm.
But even if you've gone to the dunes, you've seen them have those little tester pieces
Yeah,
where they have the tours and everything.
yeah, yeah.
Have you seen them bring them up? Like it's exhausting. So they do it like once and then they're done. So yeah, they probably did a glider, but they did not do it what we're thinking of. They did small mock-ups and they never took a plane up there. They did take a plane on the grounds and do a flight, but it was never up in a dune.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. So
Mm,
basically, if you read the info, which I kind of wrote some of it down because I can't remember all that junk, but they tried different plane designs, plane flights. They had different success rates, like altitudes
mhm,
and that amount of system. But what happened in 1903 is Wilbur flew the fourth flight, supposedly 852 feet, and only witnessed by five local men, like I said.
mm.
BS. I call
Oh,
BS.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Most of the time it's going to, unless it's by a large group and crowding,
Yeah.
if it's under 10, usually it's completely BS.
Yeah. So
It's
those
like
guys were
only five, like, okay, okay, we're gonna bring five people. Like, really?
no, and those were coincidental witnesses. They weren't even there. They were just at a nearby life-saving station. And they just happened to look up and see it at the right time, I guess.
A
Right?
life-saving station. If they're in the dunes, where is that? They only made the,
I
I mean, if you've been, listen,
know.
if you've been there, you understand. Now they say things change, but the closest thing is a modern place that, like, when you're on the dunes, you can see it from like a mile away.
Yeah.
But there's no way some random station like was just sitting there watching them. Like,
Yeah. So,
please.
so I'm going to skip all these like bogus claims that they did with their planes and all that. But they say that the plane was I had it written down like 600 and something pounds. I like I said, no way did they do that at the dunes. Just no way. Okay,
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense. So did they invent a plane like say in Dayton or wherever they were?
They were able to get help to finish a plane, yes.
Okay. All right. So they did invent a plane, but it's not the story that we're told.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, how cool would it be, like, the story they gave is really interesting, but yeah, we found a plane, we got somebody to make it work for us, and we flew it. Oh, exciting.
So we're used, their story is used by, we'll call it schools and the general public to show us how a persistence and a passion can overcome all challenges, right? And
Yeah.
if you really have a dream and you follow your dream and work really hard, you can figure out the problem. That's how we're told the story, right?
Yeah, which is also stupid. I mean, think about it. If you really like something, if you're really desiring something
Yeah,
and it just isn't working, it isn't working, but you keep trying it. Yeah, you should, pivot a little bit, try it out a different way.
yeah,
But after so many tries, maybe it's time to just take a little break
yeah,
and come back to it
yeah.
later, or try to pivot fully. Instead of just a little change, maybe just do something a little bit different altogether.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and that kind of shows, like, they want you to have a mindset of, you're just going to keep working, you're going to keep pushing it, and maybe one day something will happen. Well, make one day now, like, make something else happen if it's not working.
yeah.
And we're given this mindset of, you just got to keep pushing and pushing and
Right,
working and harder and harder. And never thinking, like, maybe I'm not meant to be on this track. Maybe I should pivot and try something else that I'm
right.
drawn to.
Exactly.
So it keeps people locked into that mindset of, well, if it's not working, I'm just going to keep trying.
Right,
Dude,
right.
that's the definition of insane.
Yeah, yeah. We all have a learning curve when we're trying something new. You
Yeah.
have to learn, you have to fail and pick yourself back up but you usually use that as a learning, a stepping stone like, okay, this didn't work. I'm going to go over here and try and try and try. But there is a point where it's not feasible anymore. And if that happens, it's like maybe time to go on to something else, right? Like, and I'm not saying just quit willy-nilly, but they're acting like we've got to spend our whole lifetime on whatever we're doing and persist. And it's not feasible at all, right? For the
Yeah,
average person.
exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
So basically they created the Wright company for manufacturing airplanes after they discovered the airplane. And I guess there were other inventors that they were working with, but then
Hmm.
Wilbur died in 1912 and Orville sold the company and they had, legal battles and all of this other stuff. Would you agree with that kind of part of the story?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So part of it was legal battles. Most of it was because of the information given. So the
Ah,
legal battle was who's getting what parts.
ah,
So
okay.
because it was a larger company than expected, it would took off a little bit
Yeah.
bigger than they were expecting. Then it comes down to fighting about who gets what right since
Mm.
everything happens.
Okay, well, all right, so let's go off like topic a little bit. So this is like 1915-ish. So they
Mhm,
supposedly discovered the airplane in 1903, and they're inventing and making new models and improving and blah 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 blah. Let's say by
mhm.
1915, but look at how fast, okay? Red flag in my mind, our aviation industry blossomed. Isn't it interesting and suspicious how fast the aviation industry blossomed out? Okay, so
Mhm,
we had talked about Howard Hughes, the aviation guy, and look at he wasn't
mhm.
even born till like 1900. You know, that was a questionable time, but like aviation was used in World War One. All right, 1915, 1918,
Mhm.
around then. They had planes then and they improved, but look at what we've got now. Doesn't that seem a little sketchy to you?
Oh, definitely. I mean, they were making planes and then it grew and then it was like everything involved planes. And then it wasn't just here, it was other countries. So
Yeah,
it's weird how everything, expanded so fast
yeah,
and quickly across countries.
yeah, yeah. Okay. It just seems suspicious to me. So, all right, we're about done today for this topic. Any other things we want to say here?
If you guys have questions, put them in the comments and
Okay.
then we will add them into our Q&As.
Okay. Hope this helps, guys. Thanks so
Yeah,
much, Deanna. Appreciate your time.
of
Bye
course.
bye.
Bye.